Snipes and Insights. It's Wednesday, May 7th. I'm your host, Keith Kavanaugh, alongside Tyler Madarasz. And Tyler, the playoffs are in full swing now. We had two incredible games last night. We got two games going tonight. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Well, we're well underway, and obviously Jets Stars starting tonight should be maybe the best series of the second round.
100%. We're a PuckPedia hockey show presented by our friends at CoolBet. Got all the lines right below in the ticker. Stay cool, bet responsibly. And Tyler, let's just get right into it. So last night we had two games, and I thought both games were actually incredible for different reasons. So the first game was the Washington Capitals and Carolina Hurricanes, and Carolina won it in overtime, 2-1 on the stick of no one else but the best stick in the NHL, some say, Jaccob Slavin. Seth, get that clip rolling. But man, what an incredibly dominant performance, I'd say, from the Carolina Hurricanes. A game the Capitals probably, in theory, had no business being in. The shot attempts were 94-34. What were your thoughts on this game?
Well, yeah, from puck drop onwards, it was all Carolina all the time. The Hurricane was on, and just crazy that our guy, Alexi Protas, opens the score, and you're thinking, man, Carolina's all over them. And then all of a sudden, Protas has a giveaway in his own zone, and Stankoven ties the game. And then the goal we just saw there is just putting pucks on net in overtime. We've seen hundreds of overtime goals like that where a puck just goes in, and that one squeezed right under the pad of Logan Thompson. So just put pucks on net. As you say, Jaccob Slavin has a great stick defensively, has a great stick offensively when he wants, and Rod Brendamore's team wins a game that they definitely should have.
And I thought both goaltenders last night were really solid. We saw a good game from Frederik Andersen, stopped all the pucks he needed to. The goal, I wouldn't necessarily put all the fault on him. And then Logan Thompson was just under barrage for basically the entire game. I mean, offensive zone time was a huge advantage to Carolina. Like I mentioned, shot attempts, expected goals, zone time. Like it's just on and on and on that the Carolina Hurricanes were kind of under siege the entire game, I would say. But then also, like, to me, I think if we can get this picture of Tom Wilson too. I thought that was hilarious last night. The video, Tom Wilson just rips the mouth guard right out of Sebastian Aho, throws it on the ice. I think the funniest part here too is Aho just basically puts it back in like it's nothing else. Like, I don't know where Wilson's gloves have been. Do you?
Well, yeah, he actually ended up throwing it on the ice, and then I think he felt bad, and then he picked it up, handed it to the ref or the linesman, who just gave it back to Aho. So no, I wouldn't have wanted to put that mouth guard back in my mouth. As our producer Seth told us right before, it's like he pulled the Chris Kreider. That's what Kreider did to Matthew Tkachuk either last year or the year before, and he ended up throwing it into the crowd. So Tkachuk needed a new mouth guard. But hey, if you're not going to use it for its actual use, you can yank it out whenever you want.
And we'll see what happens in game two, scheduled for Thursday night. To me, though, like the biggest thing, I was looking at how Jordan Staal lined up with Ovi's line. He only played 6 minutes of his 15, 49, 5v5 minutes against Ovechkin, which was the most against all forwards. But at the same time, that's not a high percentage, only about 40, 45%. So Carolina is able to kind of roll a couple of their lines against Ovi line. Like the Aho line is also pretty solid defensively, like all four units really. So I don't think it was a big factor in the game, but I mean, the Capitals were kind of shut out the entire games in terms of being able to generate offense. And if they want to win next game, I look to like, the Connor McMichaels, the Dubois, like the second lines to kind of get rolling, help them generate some offense. Like they can't have that effort in game two and expect a different result, I don't think.
Not at all. And this is why Spencer Carberry is such a good coach. We've seen it this year. He's obviously going to make adjustments. So we heard him post game as well. Like he didn't seem all that happy with his team's effort. So whether it's a guy individually, whether it's just the team as a whole playing better, you said the shot attempts for Carolina, that's got to be flipped next game. Like you're in Washington, you're on home ice. Like the Washington Capitals got to have 90 plus shot attempts or something if they want to end up winning the hockey game and beating Freddie Andersen multiple times. So I do expect a way better effort in game number two.
Yeah, I just don't know if you watched enough Carolina Hurricanes hockey to expect that that's going to change, because that's all they do. That's all they've done this year. That's all they've done in the prior year. So good luck for Washington. Hopefully they have a better effort in game two and are able to tie that series at one apiece before they head over to Raleigh. And then in the late night, we had another good game. So we had game one of the Edmonton Oilers and the Vegas Golden Knights, and Vegas got on the board early. 2 Mark Stone goals. You're thinking, Edmonton's kind of out of this. But then they have 4 unanswered goals, and Edmonton wins the game 4-2, takes the first game on Vegas's home ice. What'd you think about this game? To me, like, there was just a lot of good stuff in this game as well.
Yeah, I love the captain opening the scoring twice. First one, a bit of a lucky one, a deflection that hits his foot, but Mark Stone will take it.
After it hit the Carlson, too. Like, it was a double deflection.
Yeah, after the tip and just your foot's in the right place. So it was perfect for Mark Stone to be standing kind of on the lip of the crease. And then Jack Eichel always just finding the late guy, making the perfect pass. He finds Mark Stone, who just slips one under Calvin Pickard. But then like Calvin Pickard just channeling like his inner Grant Fuhr, winning another hockey game, allowing 2 goals, not allowing one the rest of the game. And a couple of the big boys coming out to play, like Leon Draisaitl scored a big goal, maybe a play that Aiden Hill might have wanted back. And then
Seth, let's get that up there. Let's take a look at these while Tyler goes over the goals.
let's roll that, just because like all of a sudden it's 2-1 for the Vegas Golden Knights. Aiden Hill can kind of catch a flutter ball, and all of a sudden he doesn't. Goes off his glove right to Draisaitl, and
Gotta catch this right here.
he has to. Like, you'll see it right here. It hits his glove. Could have just went right into the mitt. It does not, and comes back to bite him instantly. So Draisaitl just putting that one in. Then you had the
Connor Brown and McDavid right here.
Yeah, the Hyman goal made it 3-2, and then, man, Connor Brown just channeling his inner Erie Otters, what he used to do with playing with Connor McDavid, going in and making Shea Theodore look like me playing on Sunday nights. So Connor Brown just doing it all right now. I think that was his 4th goal of the Stanley Cup playoff, so impressive stuff right now from Brown, and very impressive stuff from Pickard and the Oilers.
Matches his total from all last regular season. We were just looking up before the episode. He only had 4 goals in 71 games last year. And we didn't think he had any, because I remember for a long period of time, that was a storyline that Connor Brown hadn't scored. He got his first goal last year in game 55. And like Tyler mentioned, he already has 4 goals in this playoff. So hats off to him. They're getting some depth scoring. Can we get that graphic up too? The Oilers comebacks. They've had 5 straight comeback wins, or 5 comeback wins in this playoffs, which is crazy. They're the first team in history to have that in a single postseason. They might not even be halfway through the postseason if they end up making it all the way to the Cup Finals. So it's not necessarily a recipe for success, but it does build that kind of, foundation for your group. The mental, like when you go down, you don't give up. You have that ability to come back. And so I think there's good and bad to take away from this stat. But again, it just shows the resolve of the Oilers team. And I think that they know that what they have to do to win. And now they already got their 1 win in Las Vegas. I think game 2, like obviously they want to win it, but not the end of the world if they don't. If we also want to look to Evan Bouchard, he had a ridiculous night. If we want to look at his game score, the highest of the playoffs so far, he almost notched 6 on the game score, which is a combined, analytic stat of like, on ice performance of your team offense, your individual offense, defense, etc. Just well above everyone else on his team last night. I thought he played fantastic. So it's great to see Evan Bouchard taking that next step with Mattias Ekholm out, as we've mentioned before. And also, I was looking too, right? We mentioned Eichel's line would be kind of paired up probably against McDavid. So Eichel played 11 of his 15-40 5v5 minutes against McDavid. McDavid really got the better of him, though, last night. He had 82% expected goal share when he was on the ice with Eichel and a 10-3 scoring chance advantage. So not really a good night for the Vegas Golden Knights, quote-unquote, shutdown line against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And then also, one other thing I want to point out, at 5-on-5 this year, the Oilers' regular season with McDavid and Draisaitl not on the ice, they were outscored by 20 goals, 68-88. Last year in the playoffs at 5-on-5, they were outscored 12-21, so -9. But then this year in the playoffs, without McDavid and Draisaitl on the ice, the Oilers are +4. They've been 11-7 with them not on the ice. So it's good to see that they're not necessarily losing the minutes without your 2 horses on the ice.
Yeah, and to your points about Jack Eichel, like that's not going to happen to Jack Eichel every game. We know McDavid is the all-around better player, but Eichel was picked number 2 right behind McDavid for a reason. So I don't think that's going to happen to Jack Eichel in game 2. And it's Connor McDavid. Surely it can, but like Eichel knows he has to have a better game. They did score the first 2 goals. Bruce Cassidy have a lot to clean up. And like, you're just not expecting that Eichel line to do it, right? Like we talked about Dorofeev yesterday being out. Like someone else has to step up if it's not that Eichel, Carlson, and Stone line. So excited to see how Vegas plays in 2. And hey, if Aiden Hill keeps getting outplayed by Calvin Pickard, the Knights might be done this series in 5. So Aiden Hill, who was pretty mediocre in round 1 against Minnesota, does have to be a lot better.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to game 2. Again, it's either Thursday or Friday night. That'll be another really good game. Now let's get into today's games. We got 2 really good games. I mean, what games aren't good at this point, right? The NHL playoffs have been absolutely incredible so far. So let's get into it. We got Toronto Maple Leafs, Florida Panthers, game 2. Toronto is up in the series 1-0. So if we get the lineup combos and lines going, the Panthers are a pretty decent favorite tonight. They're -143 on the money line, according to our friends at CoolBet. The Toronto Maple Leafs are underdogs at +121. The over-under is set at 5.5. If you want to take a look at the Panthers line, they're getting Mr. Aaron Ekblad back, off of a 2-game suspension. He's going to slot right back into that top pairing with Gustav Forsling. And then Seth Jones will get on that second D pair with Mikkola. Rest of the line, as expected, remains the same. We got Bob in net for tonight. On the Leafs side, again, nothing really crazy. It looks like they kind of shifted their third line and their fourth line, how they're looking at it on the PuckPedia line combos, which is interesting to see. D pairs are as expected. And then in the goal, we got Joseph Woll, as we mentioned earlier. Anthony Stolarz is out with probably a concussion. They're not going to admit it. They're just going to say upper body injury, but all things point to a concussion due to maybe a shot, maybe Sam Bennett's elbow, maybe a combination of things. Who's to say? We're not medical doctors. But yeah, we got Joseph Woll in net, and then we got Matt Murray backing him up. Tyler, what are your thoughts on Joseph Woll getting his first start of the playoffs this year?
I love it. Joseph Woll was great against the Boston Bruins last year in the first round. Unfortunately for him, at the end of Game 6 last year, he was injured in like the dying seconds and didn't end up to get to play Game 7 where Samsonov did and ended up losing in OT. So I like Woll. He's a great goaltender. We remember, like, he had more wins this season than Anthony Stolarz. He was really, really steady, and the Leafs have liked him for a long time. So I think Woll will do just fine. Matt Murray backing up is awesome. Like, couple times Stanley Cup champ. You almost forget he's still in the AHL system for the Toronto Marlies. So good on Matt Murray, the Thunder Bay native, coming up. And as you say, like that third line, which was the fourth line, Lawton, Lorentz, and Yarncroke, Craig Berube just trusts them so much more right now than McMahon, Domi, and Holmberg. So I like them getting a little more minutes. They've arguably been the best line in a few games for the Maple Leafs this playoff. So yeah, status quo for them, being up 1-0. And then maybe during warmups, we'll have to see, like AJ Greer might be out tonight. We'll see if the youngster Mackie Samoskevich is in. That was kind of maybe in Paul Maurice's cards during the pregame skate. So we'll see if Samoskevich comes back in. He's a younger player, and I know they like Greer on that fourth line for some grip, but we'll see if a player like Samoskevich comes in. But Ekblad coming back is huge. And in regards to the Stolarz and Bennett situation, I think you'll agree. I don't think we're going to see anything crazy, barring like Max Domi comes out and just attacks Sam Bennett, which he won't do. He doesn't want to get a penalty like he's done twice in the playoffs so far, putting his team down. So I think it's all just going to be status quo. Berube, if he was playing, he might do something, but he's coaching now, and I think his team just wants to win.
I think it's going to be a little water under the bridge situation. It wasn't malicious. There wasn't intent behind it. Like we mentioned, Sam Bennett is friends with Stolarz. He's not going to try and purposely hurt his friend, even if it is the Stanley Cup playoffs where friendships don't really exist. I think it was just one of those incidents where he's going for the puck, accidentally makes some contact. Not the end of the world, but his reputation does precede himself. So there's always going to be those questions. I think to me too, like if the Maple Leafs want to win Game 2 tonight, I look to a guy like you mentioned, Max Domi, right? The guy who had a big overtime winner in the first round. Hasn't really done all that much outside of that. I look for a guy like him to kind of get on the score sheet tonight, maybe get an early one, not a nice goal, like a jam in front kind of situation, maybe a deflection. Like they're going to need some depth scoring outside of the big horses. Nylander's been really good. Marner's been really good. Matthew Nyes has been incredible. But I look for the Maple Leafs to kind of get their depth scoring a little bit, maybe get Yarncroke going, maybe Scott Lawton chips in a little bit. I think that's the key to the Maple Leafs. And for the Panthers, just play your game. That's all they have to do, right? They've been there before. They've been down in series. They've been to the Cup final. They've been to the conference final. They've been through this playoffs with this crew for multiple years now. They're not going to blink because they're down 1-0 in the series against Toronto. They're going to come out strong tonight. They're going to come out physical. Matthew Tkachuk's going to lead the charge. Barkov's going to shut down what he does. Sam Bennett's going to play with that edge. Maybe Marchand gets a little feisty one tonight. We'll see what happens, but I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, I like the depth options for Toronto. As you say, if they're going to win and like move on to an Eastern Conference final, those guys have to get going. So we'll see if they could, but it would just be surprising to me if the Leafs go up 2-0 in a series again. Like when's the last time the Maple Leafs were up 2-0 in their first couple series in the Stanley Cup playoffs? So that would be a big surprise to me. And you mentioned a couple players on the Florida side. Like I like a Sam Reinhart or a Carter Verhaeghe game tonight. Verhaeghe, it's always the revenge factor for me, being a Leafs draft pick way back when. So maybe Verhaeghe does something, maybe Sam Reinhart does something, but I fully expect the Florida Panthers to even the series heading back to Florida.
I like your Reinhart pick there, right? This is a guy who's a season removed from 57 goals. He was an absolute machine last season. And then this year, he still had a pretty solid season, I think in the 30 to 40 goal range, but not obviously as good as it was last year. So to me, he's a guy that on the power play, especially, I think he led the league last year in power play goals. So I think he's the kind of guy that Florida needs to rely on and have that offensive production. Maybe Joseph Woll's a little shaky at first. He looked really good when he came in last game, but he hadn't played prior to that in like 3 weeks. So sometimes that weighs on a goalie a little bit. When you're thrust into a game situation, adrenaline takes over. But now that maybe he's had a couple days to think about it and stuff, I think Florida's going to try and throw some pucks at him early. So we'll see if Florida's able to get an early one and hold on to the lead, or if the Maple Leafs come out strong and then they end up going up 2-0. But regardless, I think we're going to get a good game there tonight.
If you're Woll, you just don't want the first shot hitting you in the mask like Stolarz last game. That's all. Just make it hit your pad, your glove, or something like that, and I think Woll will settle in just fine.
And we'll see if we see some Matt Murray. Hopefully not. That would only be for injury purposes, but there's always a chance, I guess. And now let's get into the second game of the night, the last game to kick off round 2. It's the Winnipeg Jets and the Dallas Stars. Both of these teams are coming off ridiculous Game 7 wins in their last round. If we want to take a look at the line and lineup combinations, we got the Dallas Stars as a slight road favorite, -112 on the cool bet money line. The Winnipeg Jets are -104, and the over-under is set at 6.5. For the entire series, the cool bet is really liking the Winnipeg Jets, or Dallas Stars rather. Dallas is favored -172 on the odds to win the series. That's about a 60% chance, whereas Winnipeg is +141, giving them about a 40% chance. If you want to take a look at the lineups tonight, looks like we're getting a couple stars back in, no pun intended, for both teams. Looks like Jason Robertson for the Dallas Stars is going to slot in on that third line with Wyatt Johnston and Mason Marchment. Still technically a game time decision, so don't want to make any proclamations. He's probably going to take warm up, make sure everything's good to go. Same thing for Mark Scheifele. He's also a game time decision, but he's probably going to be good to go. He's probably going to slot in on that top line with Kyle Connor and Gabe Vilardi. And then on defense, it looks like both of the studs are not going to come back tonight. Morrissey a little bit more likely, as Miro Heiskanen for the Dallas Stars has already been ruled out. Where Josh Morrissey actually wore a regular practice jersey today and is listed as a game time decision as well, but is not currently in the line combinations, as is Logan Stanley's also out. And then in net, we're getting the 2 USA starters, right? We're getting Connor Hellebuck of the Winnipeg Jets versus Jake Ottinger, in which I think this is going to be a true goaltending series.
Yeah, this is what we want, right? Ottinger versus Hellebuck, as you say, the 2 Team USA goalies at the Four Nations. They'll be the 2 main guys coming up at the Olympics in Milan in 2026. So Hellebuck versus Ottinger, sign me up. You already kind of sniff a 7-game series between the Jets and the Stars. And I like the cool bet odds. Like the Stars should be a favorite in the series. I know the Winnipeg Jets had the great regular season, arguably the best team in the National Hockey League. But like what the Stars have going on right now, with the Jets going to 7 against St. Louis, when some people didn't think it would. I know you did think it would, but like Connor Hellebuck playing like he did on the road just hasn't got people that excited about him. Maybe in games 3 and 4. We'll have to wait and see what happens in these first 2 games, but gotta love the goaltending matchup. And Jason Robertson coming back is just so huge for the Stars team. So excited to see RoboCop back playing with Johnston and Marchment. Mark Scheifele's only had to miss a few games, luckily, so hopefully he warms up tonight and is good to go. And if Morrissey can play, that's obviously a huge boost for the Winnipeg Jets, because not having him in that last game was obviously tough. They still got it done with the late time regulation goal and the overtime goal. But man, once Heiskanen's back, once Morrissey's back, Scheifele and Robertson back, like all the Stars have a line for this series just to go really, really deep.
Yep. And it allows that third line for Winnipeg to slot in Nino Niederreiter, Adam Lowry, and Mason Appleton. That's been their key shutdown line all season. So with Scheifele drawing back in, it allows them to play that third line as expected. So that's very, very big for them. Like you mentioned too, Connor Hellebuck, -10 goals saved above expected in the first round, by far the lowest of any first round goaltender. So hopefully we don't get that version of Connor Hellebuck. I think something in his head snapped around the third period of Game 7, where he said, you know what, it's time to lock in. He played incredible. He had that quote to Neil Pionk going into third period. He said, no goals, no more goals allowed by me. And he stuck to it. So we'll see which version of Connor Hellebuck we get. I also wanted to give a shout out to Hayden Fleury. He's a defenseman for the Winnipeg Jets. He only played 1 game in the series going into Game 7, was a last-minute injury replacement to Logan Stanley, and then he got Josh Morrissey going down 2 minutes into the game. And what did Hayden Fleury do? He logged 33 minutes in that game. He was 4th of Winnipeg's 5 healthy defensemen. He played even more than Luke Shen played. And to me, he looked really solid out there, very comfortable. And he came into a situation that he wasn't necessarily supposed to come into. And Jets fans are even clamoring for him playing over Logan Stanley if Logan Stanley's healthy. So we'll see how that plays out. But for right now, it looks like Hayden Fleury's going to get the nod tonight. And I just wanted to give that guy a shout out.
I love it. I love the depth players, as you've kind of grown to know so far. So Hayden Fleury, you need the depth. And That's why Kevin Cheveldayoff brought him in when he did. Like, he's kind of toyed around a little. Like, he was like okay in his previous stops and has kind of been that seventh defenseman almost his whole career. But good on Hayden Fleury. You get thrust into all those minutes and you actually play pretty well. Kind of reminiscent of what Alex Petrovic's done on the other side, right? With Heiskanen out, with Dumba not really playing, or Brendan Smith. Petrovic's kind of done that on the other side. So you got to love those players come playoff time.
Exactly. And those are the kind of guys who help you. They're not the guys that are flashy. They're not the guys you're going to hear about in the headlines, but they're the guys that help you win Stanley Cups when it matters the most. And then to me on the Winnipeg side too, I'm looking at Cole Perfetti again to get on the score sheet. He's plus 270 anytime goal on Cool Bet tonight. He's a guy that had 3 goals in 7 games in the first round, 2 goals obviously in game 7, but he's just kind of taking it to that next level. And I look for him to kind of push through tonight and get another one.
Yeah, hopefully Cole Perfetti can just keep going. This is why they drafted him 10th overall, and obviously has a massive Game 7 against the St. Louis Blues. So I like that. I'd love to see Cole Perfetti score, but if and when Scheifele plays, once warm-ups is over and maybe Scheifele's officially in the lineup, I think he's going to have a big game, whether it's a couple assists, whether it's a goal. I'm looking at the double nickel, as I like to call him, number 55, to maybe score in a big game 1 tonight.
I have a couple friends that also used the double nickel term for Ryan Lindgren when he was on the Rangers. But yeah, like Mark Scheifele's a guy. He didn't make the Four Nations roster, so he was kind of like, he was a borderline guy. So he had something to prove. And then in the first round, he went against the Team Canada general manager. And I think he showed what he could do with Doug Armstrong kind of in attendance as he was watching his own team play. So I think Mark Scheifele is a good call tonight. I think he's a guy that drives that first line. And really, when he signed that long-term deal, he was like, I'm here to stay in Winnipeg. I want to win with this group. And that showed a lot. And then also got Connor Hellebuck to also sign a long-term extension. So I think that was a big commitment to the city of Winnipeg and to that team. And I think these are the moments that he's ready for.
Yeah, he better be. Like, Kyle Connor is their best goal scorer, but Mark Scheifele, other than the goaltender Connor Hellebuck, is your all-around best player. So hopefully he can step up in a big moment. And I love that he did that in front of Doug Armstrong as well. It's going to be interesting to see if he does make Team Canada at the Olympics. Like, he's not in a great spot with all the young talent coming up as well with the Canadian hockey players. So
look at who got snubbed, right? Like, obviously, Bedard and Macklin Celebrini didn't make it. But then you have guys who are a little bit older, like Robert Thomas, Nick Suzuki, also didn't make it, also play the same position. And then you look at the guys ahead of him that did make it. Like, there are a couple guys that were also playing wing that are really centers. So it's like, it's going to be tough. Like, it's an embarrassment of riches talent-wise. But all you can do is play your game and do well in these big moments and only build your resume more.
Exactly. And have a great start to the regular season next year. That's going to be huge for a lot of these players that are maybe on the brink. The Robert Thomas snub for me, I love Bob Thomas, so that was a tough one, but we could almost get a Team Canada B and have them compete. So maybe one day we'll have 2 Team Canadas.
100%. And then on the Dallas side of things too, I'm looking for a guy to step up tonight, maybe a Mikael Granlund, right? So this is a guy who's been slotted on that first line with Hintz and Rantanen for the last few games. He was their big trade deadline acquisition, right? They didn't do anything super flashy, but they got him in a deal with Cody Ceci, gave up a decent amount to get both of those guys into the lineup. And he's only had 2 points so far in the first round in 7 games. So he's a guy where Hintz and Rantanen have had multiple 4-point nights that he hasn't also been able to take advantage of. So if someone's going to have to step up tonight, I look to him as being one of those guys. And also maybe the vet line, right? They're able to put Matt Duchene with Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn. Maybe one of those guys gets going for Dallas if they want to get victory and steal one in Winnipeg tonight in front of the whiteout, which we love.
Yeah, Granlund almost seems like the left out Finn, not having like a 3-4 point game. So hopefully he can get going. Like, Mikael Granlund's been a weird player, right? Like, he kind of went to Pittsburgh. He was like okay in San Jose, and all of a sudden he gets acquired by Jim Nill, and he just kind of turns his game around. He might be a UFA this year off the.
He is. He's on his year 4 of 4.
So just a big season for him. Like, we'll see if he stays in Dallas, but I like that. I'm going to go with Tyler Seguin. I think Tyler Seguin has a big game 1. He's done it in the past, so I think I'll be putting some money down on a Tyler Seguin anytime goal.
He had an OT winner in round 1. He's a guy that's come over and over again. His first year in the league was in the Stanley Cup Finals with the Boston Bruins. So he's a guy that was thrust into it right away, has great playoff experience, a little bit on the older side at this point in his career, but still able to get it done and produce offensively. Tyler Seguin's a guy I just love. He's been a guy I've been a fan of ever since he's been in the league.
Yeah, he was fun to watch in the OHL, and he was even more fun to watch in Boston. So yeah, Stanley Cup champ, and he's kind of made for these big moments, isn't he?
100%. Well, that's all the time we have today. We got 2 incredible NHL playoff games tonight. The playoffs keep on rolling. Let's have a good night tonight. Maybe get on Cool Bet, throw in a few bets, see what happens. But stay cool, bet responsibly. This is Snipes and Insights, a PuckPedia hockey show. I'm Keith alongside Tyler. Let's have a good night.